Hey there tech fans, Rick here again with another review, and today I have the Orei UHD88-EXB300-K 8x8 HDMI matrix and extender kit. This product was designed to make it incredibly easy for you to share 8 different HDMI media streams with 6 remote locations up to 300 feet away in full 4K ultra high definition resolution, or up to 330 feet away in full 1080p resolution over a single Cat6 or Cat7 LAN cable. The product also includes infrared blaster kits for each of the 6 remote locations that will collect up the remote control signals from those locations and send those back digitally over that same LAN cable to the primary location where they're rebroadcast so you can actually control the content you're watching. You also get 2 local connections for video that allow you to enjoy the content here while you're simultaneously broadcasting it to your remote locations. And because the product is also a matrix, you'll have complete control over which of the inputs is sent to which of the outputs at any given time, and you can make that selection using the buttons on the front of the unit, the included remote control, or even through software on your computer connected to the back of the unit. The product features HD-based T technology, which means once you connect this up to your internet, all of your remote locations will share that same connection, and you can surf the internet from those remote locations by extending your network through that Cat6 or Cat7 cable. Finally, the product features power over cable technology, which means the minute you plug in the transmitter, all of the power required for your remote locations is sent over that same LAN connection, which eliminates the need for a power supply at those remote locations and greatly simplifies your wiring. Now, as part of this review, I'd like to start with an unboxing of the product just to show you everything that's included with the kit, and then I'll actually take a closer look at the transmitter module and the receiver modules and explain the connections and indicators so you understand how to connect them with your own equipment, and then I'll come back and point out a few things that really make this particular product special when compared to other matrices and extenders on the market. So let's get started with the unboxing. When you open up the box, you'll find the transmitter unit and you'll find 6 receiver units. Now, each of these receiver units includes a set of infrared blasters. One is a larger head, one is a smaller head. The smaller head is the transmitter, the larger head is the receiver, and it's important you plug those into the correct ports on the back of the unit. I'll explain that in a minute. You'll also get a set of brackets for each of these that allow you to mount them up off the ground and out of the way. As far as the transmitter goes, you'll find one power cord. You'll find a DB9 RS-232 connection you can use to directly connect a computer to the back of this. If you decide to run software on that computer, you can also connect it up to your LAN network and access it over the LAN connection with a standard browser. You'll find RS-232 connection blocks. This unit can also transmit RS-232 control signals between the primary site and your remote locations, and these connection blocks make it easier to actually wire that up here and at the remote locations. You'll also find an infrared remote control that can be used to control the input versus the output selections, and there's another extender here that plugs into the back that will actually extend that connection outside of a cabinet if you decide to mount this in a standard audio video rack. Finally, you'll find a warranty card and a full instruction manual that explains everything you need to know about the product, that has connection diagrams, specifications, and other really important details that will help you get the best value out of this particular product. Now, if you stay tuned next, I'll take a closer look at the transmitter and the receivers, and then I'll come back again and talk about some of the things that really separate this from other products on the market that seem similar. On the front of the unit is an integrated bracketing system with holes perfectly positioned to make it really easy to mount this into a standard audio video rack. You'll find a power button on the right that can be used to turn the matrix on and off. To the left of that is a menu button surrounded by 4 directional buttons. The menu button will open up the configuration menu. The directional buttons allow you to navigate through the configuration steps and make your choices. When you turn the unit on, there's a large LED screen right here that will come to life and show you the current state of the matrix, as well as confirming the selections you make with the menu in the configuration settings. On the one side of the unit, you'll find ventilation slots that are designed to keep the electronics inside at a comfortable temperature during operation. On the other side, you'll find 2 high-performance fans that will actually turn on and pull cool air from the outside across the electronics inside the cabinet and out through the venting system on the other side. Again, those are for temperature control. On the bottom of the transmitter unit, you'll find additional slots that are there for temperature control, as well as 4 heavy-duty feet that have rubber grommets on the bottom to protect the surface you set this down on if you choose not to mount this in an audio-video rack. On the rear of the transmitter units, where you'll make all your connections, starting in the lower left-hand corner, you'll find 8 input ports, and these are all standard HDMI input ports, labeled HDMI 1 through HDMI 8, and this is where you'll connect up the media devices that you'd like to share the content from with your 6 remote locations and your 2 local locations. You'll simply connect the cable between this and your media device to make that connection. Above each of these ports is a grounding stud that can also be used for strain relief if your cable provides for that. To the right of your input ports are 8 output ports, including 6 that are LAN connections. These are connected to the remote locations that you'd like to share the content with, and those can be up to 300 feet away for 4K media. You'll connect up a Cat6 or Cat7 cable between here and the remote location, and that's the only connection you'll need. And again, these are HD-based T connections. You'll also find 2 full-sized HDMI connections here that can be used for local connectivity to monitors, so you can enjoy the content here as well as transmitting it to these 6 remote locations. And again, there are 2 grounding studs above these 2 HDMI ports. Above this set of ports, you'll find audio connections. Over here is a block for connecting audio into the transmitter. Starting on the left, you'll find 2 3.5mm analog left and right ports, an optical set of ports, and a coaxial set of ports. These can be used for, again, injecting audio into the system. To the right of that are 8 output ports for audio. These 2 are for the local connections right here, and the other 6, these 6 right here, are used for the remote locations. And you have a choice here too. You have a left and right analog output, as well as a coaxial. You'll notice with the remote, you also have the connection for RS-232, because as I'd mentioned, the remote receivers can transmit RS-232 control signals, so you can make a connection here if you choose to do that, but you also have a left and right audio, and you have a coaxial connection as well. And then above that, you'll find the infrared in and the infrared out for the IR blaster kits. And again, it's very important that you plug the larger unit in here and the smaller unit in here. You also have the choice of using one for all of the inputs or one for all of the outputs. There's also one more IR extension over here. That's another 3.5mm plug, and that's used in case you mount this inside of a cabinet and close the front door. The problem is you can't use the remote control that comes with the unit because it can't get through a door, so you can plug a receiver in here and route it outside the cabinet to pick up those infrared remote control signals. You'll also find a grounding stud right here if you want to ground this to earth ground. Over on the right-hand side, you'll find a control block, and that's used for connecting a computer up for remote control of the unit and programming. You have 2 choices there. You can connect it directly to your LAN using a standard LAN cable, or you can use a DB9 RS-232 connection right to your computer if you have that type of cable available. And to the right of that is an AC input port. That's used with the power supply cable that comes with the unit. You'll plug one end in here, the other end into any standard wall outlet. That's all the power you need. The nice part is once you plug in the transmitter, all the power required for these remote receivers is sent over that same LAN cable, so there's no power supplies required at the remote locations. Inside the kit, you'll also find 6 remote receiver modules that look just like this one. They feature full metal enclosures, which make them incredibly durable and help to minimize outside interference from causing any issues with the electronics inside. On the sides of the module and on the bottom, you'll notice ventilation slots that are designed to keep the electronics inside at a very comfortable temperature. They let any heat that develops during operation escape. There are also 4 rubber feet on the bottom that will protect any surface you set the module down on. On the sides of the module are 2 mounting holes that can be used with the included bracketing kit to mount this up off the ground and out of the way. On the front of the module on the left, there are 2 LED indicators, power and ARC. When you add power to the unit, it starts an internal power on self-test. When it passes that test, it'll light the power LED, letting you know the module's ready to use. The ARC indicator lets you know you're currently using the HDMI ARC function for audio, and you can turn that on and off by tapping this button. On the rear of the modules, where all the connections are made, starting on the left, there's a power port. That's a DC power port. In this case, you won't need to use that. Because this solution uses power over cable technology, once you plug the transmitter in, all the power required for this module to operate is sent over the same LAN cable that will stream media to this remote location. So once that LAN cable is plugged in and the transmitter's turned on, this remote receiver will spring to life. To the right of that are 2 infrared blaster ports. They're 3.5mm ports that are used with the infrared blaster kit. You'll plug the larger one in here and the smaller one in here, and it's important you get those right. To the right of that is an optical audio input. You can use that if you want to inject audio. An HDMI output port is to the right of that, and that's used for connecting a monitor here at the remote location so you can enjoy the content at this particular location. It's a standard HDMI connection, standard HDMI cable. To the right of that is another LAN port, and what's interesting about this solution is if you connect the transmitter up to your network, you can actually send that same network connection over the HD-based T network, and you can connect a computer up here to use that same network. So you can actually surf the net just by plugging into this LAN cable at the remote location. So you're not only receiving media content here at the remote location, you're also receiving a LAN connection. To the right of that is an RS-232 port. This system can transfer RS-232 control signals between the transmitter and receiver. If you decide to do that, that's where you'll make the connection, and you can use the connection block that's included with the kit to make that wiring easy. To the right of that is a micro USB port. This solution can be updated down the road with different firmware, and if that's needed, you can connect this to your computer with a short cable, push the firmware code over to this product to update the firmware. And finally, the switch over to the right, position 1 and 2, and that's for maintenance, and it's explained in the manual, but essentially when you're doing the microcode upgrade, you'll want to flip that switch, and again, that's explained fully in the manual. And that's pretty much it for the remote receivers. The kit also includes a number of these infrared blaster kits, and even though they look similar, there is a slight difference between them, and it's important to notice that. On the end, you'll see this one has a larger head, this one has a smaller head. This is actually the receiver unit, and that's the transmitter unit. So when you plug these into the remote receivers or the transmitter module, it's important you plug this one into the IR in and this one into the IR out for proper operation. I hope that closer look was helpful. Now here are a few key things to keep in mind when you're comparing this Orei HDMI matrix and extender kit to others you may be considering. The first thing has to do with resolution. This product fully supports both 4K ultra high definition media content and 1080p media content at the same time on the unit. It's also smart enough to analyze the incoming media stream and make whatever adjustments are needed internally to send the best possible picture and audio to those remote locations. Other units may not support 4K at all, or if they support 4K and 1080p, there may be a lot of manual configuration involved for you to get those inputs set up to correctly send the audio and video to the remote locations. With this one, you simply connect up your media devices, connect up your remote locations, and all the adjustments needed to improve that picture and audio are made internally on the unit. It also includes a set of infrared blasters for each of the remote locations, and that's really important because they'll collect up the remote control signals from each of your 6 remote locations and send those back digitally over the same LAN cable to the primary site so you can actually control the content you're watching at those remote locations. Other kits may not include those, and the challenge there is once you start the media content, you'll have to run to the remote location to enjoy it, but you won't have any control from that remote location over what's happening with the content. You won't be able to stop it, rewind, fast forward, or pause it. You'll just have to watch it start to finish. I also like the fact that the system can transmit RS-232 signals from the remote locations back to the primary. That may be something you're interested in as well. The product also has a matrix which is split into 2 parts. There's an audio section and a video section which allows you to blend different audio with different video to each of your locations at the same time. And the fact that you have 2 local connections here means you can enjoy the content at the primary location while you're transmitting it to the remote location, so it gives you a total of 8 inputs and 8 outputs. Now, Orei makes a smaller unit that supports 6 inputs and 6 outputs if you have a smaller configuration that you need. I also like the fact that power over cable technology is incorporated in this because once you plug in the transmitter, all the power required for the remote locations is sent over that same LAN cable, which means you don't need power supplies at those remote locations, and that greatly simplifies your wiring. Certifications are also important. This unit is HDMI 2.0 compliant as well as HDCP 1.4 and 2.2 compliant, and that's really important because if you're watching copy protected content and you want to send that to the remote locations, if your extender doesn't support those standards, it'll stop right here. It won't actually transmit that content to your remote locations. And the best part is, everything you need to get started is included with the kit, and with a few simple connections, you can be up and running in no time. So hopefully you found this review helpful, and until next time, stay nerdy.